I know you at some point went and lived in Germany for what, a month?
Yeah, it was a month. Actually, it was from August till mid September.
How different was it different? And was there like a big difference or no, not really?
The Center for Disease Control has reported an outbreak of a new virus. It is important to stay calm with health officials for evaluation and there may still be dangers.
What's up, fam? Lucky Pro here, and I want to say welcome to episode number 2 in this little documentary series that I'm doing. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people to see if they could become something more, to see if they could work together when we needed them to fight the battles that we could not fight. Wait. That's the wrong one. Pretty sure I've been watching a little too much Marvel. You might have recognized that quote from Nick Fury from the Avengers. That is not what this video is about. Actually, this video is about a bunch of remarkable people. They're some of my best friends from around the world. If you haven't watched episode number 1, I encourage you to pause this, go back, and meet Ellen and Matt and Lea. And in that episode, we go through a couple of fun questions where you get to know them, and then we dive in what life was like in their region of the world in the beginning of the global pandemic. And so in this episode, we're still talking regional differences, but we're getting a little bit more honed in. You're going to be hearing from Ellen about what the differences and how it felt in between Germany and France, and then we're going to be throwing it on over to Matt, where he's going to be talking about the differences in Arizona and in California, and how in both of those places, how they're right on the border, but it was affecting people so differently. And so thank y'all so much for tuning in. I encourage you to hit that subscribe button to get notified for future videos, ring that bell, hit the like. It really does make a difference. And in the comment section below, let me know where you're tuning in from around the world and what it was like for your region in the midst of COVID. I'd love to hear it and just get to talk to you. So without any further ado, I hope that you enjoy episode number 2. I'll catch y'all later. Peace. Was it different? And was there like a big difference or no, not really?
There was a huge difference. So I left France and I was really relieved. I did some time away from all those stuff that were happening in France and also in my life, like because I was just finishing my work, like by faith in the Lord. So I had resigned my job, and when I arrived in Germany, wow, I could feel how relaxed the spiritual atmosphere and how I felt relaxed when I arrived. I was like, wow, is there COVID here? And Germany is it's the neighbor of
Right.
France. Like it doesn't make sense. So of course, indoors we would wear masks, but in the street, no. And that's just, I felt such a relief. And I remember when I came back home mid-September to France, masks were now compulsory because, before I left, it was not compulsory on the street, but when I arrived, it was compulsory on the street. And I was like, what is this nonsense? Because you need to know, and this is something you will not find on the news necessarily, but so the most dramatic peak of the COVID, of the virus, was really March, April, May in France. But afterwards, like people were getting healed from that COVID stuff and it was getting better. But they decided to make the masks compulsory, and they said, yeah, there's a third wave or whatever. I don't even know how many waves there has been. And I was like, but there were less cases of people getting COVID. I was like, and then we went back to another lockdown and curfews. We have curfews. We still are under curfews. Anyways, even like when I arrived at the airport, I'm not joking. I like when my feet were just like threading on the airport place. I was like sensing the oppression. I was like, whoa, that's just not right. It's territorial, you know. It's something is there, and
I talked to my parents who live in California, and life was still super locked down and restricted, like it was during our summer. And I would go and visit them in the fall, and it was weird because I was like, "Oh, let's go out to eat," and they're like, "We can't do that.
Crazy.
Restaurants don't do that here." And I was like, "Oh." Like, wow.
What were some of the big things that you saw and felt like differences between Arizona and California?
I feel like Arizona was a little more relaxed than California. Like I said, we opened up restaurants and salons and gyms like way sooner than California. And our churches also were all open here, and California wasn't. There was like a really hard shutdown on that, while other businesses were like, we're still open and operating. And I would talk to my parents and my sisters who live there, and they seemed like it was just so much harder and just a lot more, I wouldn't, oppressive is a hard word, but just way more restricted than here. And I just felt like I had a lighter tune and like a lighter feel than they did, because I just felt like my life was quote unquote back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
And there still was like way behind. So I don't know if that
So you
answers
could definitely tell because of everything that was happening there, it was like affecting their emotions and
Oh,
feelings.
totally. Yes, like so many things where I felt like my family got affected from just still being so restricted to not do things. My family like super close, and I usually go visit them once a month because it's not that far of a drive. And
Mhm.
so that really hurt that I couldn't go see them.
Yeah.
Because I just for safety, we want to keep each other safe. And
Right.
it was really hard for my dad to say, "Hey son, like you can't come home." And he's never told me that before. And
Yeah.
so like it kind of got us a little emotional where something so big like kept us apart in a way physically, but we could like see each other video chat, but it's different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was talking with one of my friends from Indonesia, and that was a lot about what we were talking about, just like that connection piece. Like, video and technology is so good that we can do it nowadays, just like me and you are doing, but it's just that lack of face to face, and more so that lack of physical touch is completely different. And for people who are extroverted, it's like, I'm grateful to be seeing people, but this kind of sucks. I want someone next to me. And so that's really, it's crazy how it's only, y'all are one state apart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like on the border, yet two completely different scenarios happening, yet because of what one state was doing, it was affecting someone in another state. And I think that's a big reason. It kind of clicked yesterday, like that connection piece. You hear so many people having, mental health issues right now, or like mental health gaining traction right now. It's just crazy. Even when you put a people into restrictions for their safety, it still can take a negative effect on them physically, emotionally, spiritually.
Right.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is.
It almost makes you think of just people who kind of just live in that state normally. Even in America, people who are more impoverished or struggling to even get food or different things. I don't even know what that feels like. Mm-hmm. And we've just kind of tasted a little bit of it.
Yeah, and I would totally agree with you. I feel like COVID really leveled the playing field for so many different socioeconomics, in a sense, of like not having access to certain things or not being able to get things in an instant or whatever, like having to wait in the sense of when we talk about the grocery store, and that's going back to that, I wasn't able to get certain foods, because they were gone. But like imagine the people, that's their regular life where they sometimes can't afford certain foods or like afford certain necessities that are so easily accessible to us. Or like you said, the sense of loneliness with people with mental health. And I feel like the pandemic really helped people step in others' shoes. So
yeah, it's crazy that I see it as like layers, especially in America. We've had quite a few layers, but it's like COVID-19 was the overarching thing that touched everybody, and then that already started to kind of bring stuff up, and then it was racial tension, and then it was like political tension, and it was just like it kept stacking or going deeper. And then I really felt the past year was just like a stripping year, that all of these things only were stepping stones to get to what I was actually going on with, but it helped bring everything up to the surface in such a magnified and greater way. If you could like blank statement this past year, like in a statement or two, how would you describe it?
oof. In a sentence or two. Okay.
I know it's a loaded question.
Yeah. I think it was really a time, like I think you said, well, like reflect.
Made me feel like I'm not serving anymore. I'm not, meeting people to talk or just to share what's going on in life or speaking truth and receiving truth from others. So, yeah, it made me feel disconnected and at some point purposeless.